we actually fought with Mthuli Ncube when he wanted to charge the barbers about $30 every month. Anyone who's a barber, he was saying they must pay $30 as tax at the end of the month. And we said, but some of these people are only maybe shaving people, maybe 4 or 5 people for $1, and they're making maybe $3, $5 a day, and we expect them at the end of the day to pay $30. Where will they get that money from?
A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to our Sake Online. This is the CITE View. My name is Brighton Ncube. The show seeks to look at politics, current affairs, and everything happening in our various communities of Zimbabwe that involves politics and across the board. So with all the show, we've been having MPs, councillors, different people speaking about different issues in terms of politics and what's happening in the country. And today on the show, we have the Honorable Member of Parliament for Lobengula Magwegwe Constituency to help us understand more in terms of what's been happening in Parliament 1 year and some months after being elected there in Parliament. Want to understand more what's been happening there and how the journey has been in Parliament. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
1 year and some months in Parliament. How has been your journey so far, Mr. Nyathi?
Let me say, well, I've learned a lot in this period that I've been in Parliament. There are things that I've really come to understand, and there are things that I've really noticed that, I've been overlooking quite serious matters, and I didn't understand that we had, as legislators, we had, so much on our shoulders that the general populace is expecting us to deliver. And some of the things are really doable, but some, we have to fight.
Mm-hmm. So before the break of the festive season, what are some of the key issues that are tackled in Parliament? Before we came to the break of the festive season, what are the key issues that are tackled in Parliament?
Okay, so the main issues, in my view, that we really wanted under the spotlight was, for instance, number one, the water situation in Bulawayo. You'll understand that the government put up a committee that came here to Bulawayo to come and engage the city fathers to make a way on how they could improve the situation in Bulawayo. I think a budget of about 14 million was tabled. Out of that budget, I think only about 1.5 million has been dispersed. And this is not helping. The situation is still terrible, and we are still knocking on the Minister Mthuli Ncube, still knocking on his doors to ask why the funds are not being released, what is the hold up. And of course, we hear a lot of stories and excuses, but we keep on pushing. So that is, for me, number one. Number two, we are trying to see how we can work with the government to improve the livelihoods of people in the country, creating employment, making sure that basic services are availed, clinics, hospitals. If you walk into a clinic now or into a hospital, you can barely find basic medication like paracetamol. You can't get paracetamol. Everything that you need, you have to go out and pay for. So we are trying to push from Parliament side that government really looks at these issues quite seriously and prioritizes them, because without health, we can't go anywhere. Energy as well, we are pushing on the energy side to say government must invest more. Personally, I've differed a little bit with my other colleagues. They are very happy that we are getting these IPPs coming. That's fine. We accept their offers. We welcome their offers. But I would want to see ZESA taking a bigger step in being the giant producer of power in Zimbabwe. I don't want us to rely on IPPs to be the sole producers of power. ZESA has to be the leading player in power production in Zimbabwe. So we want to see government getting investors come to invest in ZESA, not someone coming to say, I'm opening up my solar farm. what happens to that person after 5 years, 10 years when they decide they want to leave? We've seen what has happened before with, other private companies that just decide to close, and the next day we've got a shell. So if we've got 10 IPPs, and they all decide at one point to say, no, we are leaving Zimbabwe because of one or two other reasons, it means we go back to the same position that we're in. So that's why I advocate to say government must prioritize ZESA to be the giant producer of power. These other IPPs can come and complement on what ZESA is doing. But we can't then be seeing ZESA being a minority player in power production in Zimbabwe. That is my stance. But we are happy there's movement at least. Okay, now we've had a change of ministers. Honorable Edgar Moyo was the minister previously, and the Honorable July Moyo has now been appointed. We are yet to interact with him, but there were a lot of positives that we're picking up from Honorable Edgar Moyo, and we could see where we're going in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. So we are still yet to see what Honorable July Moyo has got for us, how we're going to engage him and see what he also has in plan.
Yeah, you touch on the issue of water, that you discuss water in Parliament, right? There's too much alluvial mining, according to the last council. There's alluvial mining in our catchment areas, right, in our dams. Also sitting in the Committee of Mines there in Parliament. What are you discussing there around the issue of alluvial mining affecting our catchment areas?
Well, my understanding is that alluvial mining is banned in Zimbabwe. But, because of the state of the economy, because of, everything is just broken down in Zimbabwe. So you'll get people still going to do alluvial mining. You'll get some people coming to, I can't remember the term that they call it, friends of the environment, something like that. They come and pretend to be actually taking care of the environment. At the same time, they are also mining there, which is not right. So I think we need to take a very firm step and say we are putting a stop to this. It's not only alluvial mining that is a problem. It's general panning all over the country. I'm sure travel anywhere you want. Go mud north, mud south, you'll find heaps of sand. Someone is mining there. You go to this place between Kwekwe and Gadoma. If you look there onto your left, along the rail there, you'll see people just mining. In fact, under the rail line, there's people doing mining there. So we just need EMA and all the regulatory authorities to take a stance and say, no, we are putting an end to this, But of course, they'll complain that they don't have prosecuting or arresting powers and stuff like that. But I think we need to sit down as a country and say we need to put a stop to this, because you'll see everywhere where there is this type of mining. Our friends from the east are always there, so they come and stand behind our brothers or our sisters and pour money. These people go and start this illegal mining. They take the stuff, and the gold is taken out, probably not in a transparent manner, because all gold is supposed to go to Fidelity. But you'll see, this is why, in fact, you hear these stories of gold being smuggled, gold being caught in Zambia, in South Africa, in Saudi Arabia. This is because our enforcement agencies are not up to scratch to stop this.
Yeah. Last year in Parliament, Professor Mthuli Ncube, the Minister of Finance, tabled the budget for 2025. And some of these measures were implemented on the 1st of January, including the issue of taxes, right? Sin tax, gambling tax, and also on fast foods. What's your comment on the issue of taxes being imposed on citizens in Zimbabwe?
Well, I think you'll agree with me that I think in these past couple of years, we've just seen, everything just being burdened onto the Zimbabwean people. We are just being taxed to the bone. They want to tax anything that they can. In fact, we actually fought with Mthuli Ncube when he wanted to charge the babas about $30 every month. Anyone who's a baba, he was saying they must pay $30 as tax at the end of the month. And we said, but some of these people are only maybe shaving people, maybe 4 or 5 people for $1, and they're making maybe $3, $5 a day, and you expect them at the end of the day to pay $30. Where will they get that money from? So you look at even the fast foods. We know where we should actually be getting tax. We know where we should actually be looking at, because we are not supposed to look at the poor and tax them more. We are supposed to find measures that encourage people to pay tax, as opposed to what we are currently doing, where we say, if we see fast food shops, they getting busier, then we say, so there should be money there, let's go there. If we see people going to gamble and bet, you know, you move around towns, you see these shops that offer these services, they've got maybe 10, 20, 30, 40 people there. Then we think, okay, then let's go and tax there. That is not the way to do it. We must know that those people are spending time there because there is no employment. How do we generate formal employment so that we can be able to tax these people? If you go to any other city, I think any other city or town in this country, you'll find unregulated vendors. People come in front of a registered shop and sell exactly the same products that the shop is selling, which is leading to why we see some of these supermarkets coming to a collapse. So it is telling us that we don't have a formal economy. Everything or almost everything in this country is informalized. So we must find a way to go back to formalization, where people will understand that for me to get a service in the hospital, or for me to get, say, maybe ZESA, for instance, or clean water, I must be able to contribute what I'm supposed to contribute to the local authority and to the government. That is the starting point. So we need to generate opportunities and generate employment for our people, for us to be able to get the tax. We need to look at the businesses that are performing well and probably incentivize them so that they make more money. Not the case that we have now to say, you just look at the business and say, okay, we are going to introduce this tax, you must pay this tax. You're actually killing, because almost all businesses at the moment are operating on the edge. So what we need is to sit down with everyone, see how we can incentivize them, lower the tax brackets, and then have more people paying tax. Then we collect more at the end of the day.
Now let's move on to Lobengula Magwegwe constituency there. I'm sure you've been doing feedback meetings with the people there from your constituency. What are the issues that they are saying that they're raising these meetings?
Well, we have, these meetings, I think, in about 3 or 4 months. Every 3 or 4 months, we try and gather the people and hear what they want us to go and represent them on, and what they expect actually from us. But the bread and butter issues always come up, unemployment, high cost of living, the dilapidation of infrastructure. You go to schools, everything is falling down. Some schools don't have roofs, some don't have books, some don't have teachers, some don't have desks. So it's all these everyday problems that we meet every day, and we also go back to government and say, but as government, we are failing to pay BIM, for the kids that are on BIM. We are failing to honor that, and yet we expect the parents to then pay their part for school fees. Yet the government is not, owning up on its part. You've got schools that will tell you we've been maybe 2 years or 3 years without getting any payment, but yet those kids, they could be maybe 100, 200 at that school, still get the same services that are expected. When they get to school, the teacher has to be able to, provide the chalks for learning, provide all the equipment that is needed. Also, the kids need to use ablution facilities, which are managed by the school. So these are the costs which, if BIM was paid on time, it could alleviate all these problems. So these are just some of the problems. I think the electricity crisis we've spoken about, and also the general state of roads. People ask us all the time, when you get to a toll gate, almost 90% of traffic is paying in foreign currency. Where does that money go? How is that money used? Because we don't see it anywhere. The roads are bad everywhere. Harare only got, I think, some roads spruced up during the SADC, period when we were hosting the SADC. I think it was in August or so. That's when there was a little bit of activity on the roads in Harare. Of course, we've seen these other big projects, major highways, but generally, particularly in this region of Matebeleland, we don't see anything happening on the roads. We keep being told that there's been an agreement between a contractor and government on the Beit Bridge Vic Falls Road. But who ignores Beit Bridge Vic Falls Road? Is the mainstay of all tourism in Zimbabwe. You're coming from South Africa, you're coming from Namibia, you're coming from Zambia, you're coming from Botswana, you will be using Vic Falls, Bulawayo, or Vic Falls, Beit Bridge Road. It's a given, but government is choosing to ignore this. I was in Vic Falls, I think 2 months back. There's a stretch of over, I think, 3 kilometers that now doesn't have any tar at all. It's gravel and it's huge holes along the road. Just from Wange, if you are going towards Vic Falls, just from Wange, about maybe 1 kilometer from the last service station in Wange, going to Vic Falls. It's appalling. But this is another sector that we're ignoring, where we could be looking to receive or to get revenue, because it's tourism. If you look at Mauritius, you look at Namibia, closer to us, you look at Swaziland, all these countries, they benefit more on tourism, but they don't have the kind of attractions, tourist attractions that Zimbabwe has. They don't. So we are just neglecting a sector which could actually be our second or third cash cow after mining and farming.
Yeah, but when we engage in the Ministry of Transport, as Honorable Felix Mwana, what is he saying about the issue of roads? I remember the time in Parliament where Bachila asked in Parliament in terms of the roads in Zimbabwe, and there was a vague response in terms of what is done. What do you do? What does the minister saying in terms of the roads? The issue of Zinara again, where is the money going to when asking the minister?
Sometimes questions to some of these answers never come. You'll be asked to present them in writing, and the response, nobody ever follows up on those. But he says they've got a roadmap of the plan that they want to implement when they rehabilitate the roads. So he says they've got something drawn up, but I've listened to him 3 or 4 times. It's always Harare, Chirundu, Harare, Beit Bridge, Harare, somewhere. It's never Bulawayo, it's never Kweru, it's always Harare. So for me, it then puzzles my mind to say, but why is this Honorable Minister only centralizing everything around Harare? Why is it Harare Chirundu, Harare Beit Bridge, Harare Nyamapanda? Why can't it be, for a change, maybe Vic Falls, Binga, Vic Falls, Beit Bridge, or Bulawayo, Victoria Falls, Bulawayo, Beit Bridge? Why is it only centered around a particular town? And you never really get clear answers from the minister when you try and probe for answers on these matters. And which is why I think we need to keep making more noise about such matters, because we've got devolution in Zimbabwe, which we are really not seeing any fruits of. We can't really see how people in Kai are doing their own things. People in Bulawayo are doing their own things. Everything seems to be managed from a central place, and I think that is pulling us down as a country.
Allow me to go back to the issue of the mining. I see you sit in the committee of political committee on mining there. There's been this talk around the communities not benefiting from mining happening in their communities. For example, suppose we have a company A getting a tender to mine in area A, but the community, the roads there are bad. The schools there, they are bad. So are these communities benefiting from these mining activities happening in these communities?
Sadly not. Sadly not. You will be aware that there's a mines amendment bill that is floating somewhere. It's supposed to come to Parliament, and we are really pushing to have that bill come to Parliament. Unfortunately, we don't have much information about what it contains. So what is currently being used now is the old, I think, 1961 Act, which we are still using. And that Act doesn't really bind an investor or a miner to do A, B, C, D where they are mining. It's up to the miner to say, okay, I've made a profit. Out of this profit, I'll take 5%, 10% and put it there. But there's nothing really that is binding, which is why you see there's a lot of underdevelopment in some of these areas that huge mining activities are taking place. There's a few mines that are really professional, that when you visit their mining areas and the people around, the schools, you see the roads are okay, the schools, the clinics are being maintained, but the majority of the areas, there's nothing that is happening. So we are trying as a committee to push for the bill to come to Parliament so that we can review it, we can add our thoughts on it, and see how we can, moving forward, make the communities where mining is being done benefit more as the primary people than what is currently happening, where people just come and mine and then leave holes. The place, the land is not rehabilitated. It's a mess. Even the way that the minerals are being handled, it's all messed up if you look at it, because we should be able to say government should be present in all areas where mining is happening, but we don't have. If you listen to the Ministry of Mines, they'll tell you we don't have offices in this area, we don't have offices in this area, but mining is happening everywhere in Zimbabwe. But I think they only have maybe 3 or so functioning offices, and they are complaining about rentals. They don't have offices, they don't have furniture, all these things. So as a government, we have not gotten to a point where we really want to say people must benefit out of our minerals.
Yeah, lastly, to wrap up the show, the small issue of the CDF. I know Professor Mchilingwe moved to the CDF from $20,000 US dollars, but equivalent to other TGS, ZIG now, to $50,000 US dollar, but also equivalent to ZIG. What are the plans if you get the CDF? And also, what can you expect in the coming 4 years? 4 years are some months from Lobengula and Magwegwe constituency.
Well, you ask it quite precisely there when you say when we get, or if we get, because nobody knows when we're going to get it. Last year, the minister promised that the funds would be dispersed before end of year. Well, from the MPs that I've spoken to, no one has got the allocation yet. So we are still waiting for that, and we hope he's going to come again on set and explain to the people, because back there when you go to the communities, people think maybe the money has already been dispersed, yet nothing has been given out. So I think he needs to come again on set and say, no, look, we're facing problems. This is where we are with regards CDF. But to answer your question, CDF generally, in my understanding, is supposed to develop the community from a government side. I say this because at the moment now we have to worry about polls. As an MP, amongst a list of things that the community suggested that we have on once we get the CDF allocation, the community suggested that we drill boreholes. This, if our economy was functioning properly, it should be a matter for city council. Solar street lights, this should be a matter for city council. I think CDF should primarily be going to, develop schools, develop schools, probably develop, income generating projects for youth that could be unemployed. This is what I think should be happening with CDF. But unfortunately, with this economy of ours, we now have to put funds to polls. So the communities all over the constituency, Ward 14, Ward 18, Ward 29, top of their list, polls. They want polls, Jojo tanks, water kiosks. They also want solar streetlights, like I've said, and that is generally what was contained. There are other items that they also wanted, but explaining to them that this is 50,000 payable in RTGS, and then us having to find contractors to come and drill poles for us. They will be coming in and requesting you to pay them in US dollars. If you fail to pay in US dollars, they will give you their own rate, which is inflated, because they don't believe in this bank rate exchange rate that government says. I think if you go everywhere, you will see that our prices are almost double what the bank rate says. So we also put some schools there, tables, desks, a few other things that we can do at the schools. But looking at the amount in ZIG, when it will finally be paid, I don't think we'll be able to cover all those other things. I think we'll just do a few balls and probably a few security matters in terms of the security lighting, solar lighting. I don't think there will be much that we can do on that. And I'm also not sure, because this man was supposed to come last year, he didn't come. I'm not so sure what the minister is going to do, whether he's going to say, since now we are now in 2025, he's going to double it up. I don't know. Because remember, in 2023, it wasn't paid as well. And it was not paid in 2024. We are now into 2025. So if the minister can make good and, pay up all CDF that is due to all these constituencies, I think then it will give us some leverage and some leeway to actually do real work on the ground. Otherwise, without that, just with the 50,000, a proper bowl quotation to drill, solarize, put casing, I think you're looking at close to around 8,000 USD. That's for a proper bowl, 60, 70 meters around there. You're looking at around 8,000. Those are the quotations that some people are actually charging. So you divide that into 50, you come out with about 6 or so, and I've got 3 watts. So already you can see the money is already almost finished just on the poles. So it's also another thing that the minister must consider, to say, what are we really doing with the CDF money? Are we really adding value to the people with this amount or not? Maybe we need also to maybe have a look at that amount and say, what amount can really impact a ward? Maybe let's look at it from that and say, okay, maybe if we allocated maybe 10, 12,000 per ward, it will be better. If we just say 50,000 for the whole ward, remember other people have got more than 5 wards. So at the end of the term, you might actually not achieve, each ward, do something for each ward, because the money is just not enough. It's just too little in my view. So I think we need to review the 50,000, and also we need to actually try and pay it timeously, because the prices change every day. We started doing these quotations, I think, for CDFs, I think it was around July. And then we got to November. We're expecting money was okay to be released in November. So if you check the quotation that you got in July and the quotation you got in November, they are different. Probably the quotation that you'll get in February when Parliament resumes will have changed. So I think the minister must also consider timeous disbursement of funds. Once we agree that, okay, these are the requirements that are required, submit your quotations and everything, maybe within 30 days, let's try and have that money settled. Because people are still energetic and full of expectations from July. well, when he announced it in November, people thought, okay, maybe by December, we'll have done one or two things. There's nothing that has been done. We are getting into February now, and there's silence. So at the end of the day, it's like we are just taking people as a government for a ride. So the minister must come up and tell us exactly what is happening with this money. Is he going to pay from 2023? Is he going to pay from 2024? Or is he only going to deal with 2025? Yeah.
Honorable, thank you so much for your time, for coming through CITE for this interview.
Thank you very much.
Well, you've been watching the CITE View. My name is Brighton, and my guest for this morning is Honorable Tendai Nyathi, coming from Lobengula Magwegwe Constituency. They're speaking about many things: use of alluvial mining, use of the energy sector, what are the plans, and what is being done in Parliament. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and to follow CITE on all platforms: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, where they with all the breaking news and breaking shows. For myself, Brighton, it's bye for now.